time to just say what it is so that you can stop being embarrassed and harboring that guilt. I literally spoke what I saw because I was in
Chrisean Rock is in hot water again, and it's all about her 2-year-old son. Chrisean Jr. fans and medical experts are alarmed after reports revealed that Chrisean suffers from cerebral palsy and fetal alcohol syndrome. Yet Chrisean refuses to fully accept medical advice. Despite hearing concerns from doctors and even family, Chrisean has been relying on faith and spiritual healing instead of consistent medical treatment. Videos show Junior struggling to walk and coughing in ways that indicate possible RSV, which could be serious for a child his age. She reportedly skipped multiple hospital visits and preferred church prayers, thinking everything would resolve on its own. The internet has been critical, pointing out that her son's development, still unable to walk or talk properly at 2 years old, needs professional attention. Her denial has led to major concern from family, friends, and social media doctors. Chrisean's recent decision to pursue a professional fighting career shows she's trying to change her life, but her son's health cannot be ignored. Experts warn that faith alone isn't enough. It must come with action and care. The big question remains, will Chrisean finally prioritize Junior's well-being, or will denial and neglect continue? Sound off in the comments. What do you think she should do for her son? So, let's unpack exactly what's going on here, because this situation with Chrisean Rock and her son Chrisean Jr. is far bigger than just a social media controversy. It's about parenting choices, medical reality, public perception, and consequences that affect a child's life. Now, most of the headlines you've seen focus on shock value, doctor leaks deleted reports, but here's the root of the drama. A medical professional described Chrisean Jr.'s condition as severe cerebral palsy and fetal alcohol syndrome. These are not casual diagnoses. These are lifelong neurological and developmental conditions. And yes, they affect speech, motor skills, muscle control, and overall physical development. That's why, as she described it, his voice sounds high-pitched. That's why he appears congested. That's why observers online, turning into what they jokingly call internet doctors, have pointed out that something is medically not typical for a 2-year-old. Here's the thing. Everyone hoping Chrisean had finally turned her life around was encouraged when she started stepping away from constant social media chaos. She signed up to fight professionally, seemed focused on her career, and fans thought maybe motherhood was shifting her priorities. But then she appeared on yet another podcast, and what she said triggered an explosive online reaction. Instead of acknowledging professional medical opinions, she said that if anyone speaks against her kid, she should reject it, even if it's a doctor. She leaned into faith, saying what she heard from God is more valid than clinical reports. And let's be clear, nobody is arguing about faith here. But when a child's development is at stake, faith without appropriate medical support is risky. Right now, Chrisean Jr. is 2 years old and still cannot walk on his own. Many 2-year-olds are running, speaking in full sentences, building independence. That's why the online reaction was so intense when footage showed him struggling just to stand or move a few steps. People noticed. Family noticed, including Chrisean's own sister, Taryn, who publicly stated that Chrisean was drinking heavily during pregnancy when she was warned by doctors that this could lead to complications. To make matters more dramatic, part of the reason for a C-section was because the child had chlamydia, and Chrisean allegedly refused it because she didn't want her partner's face tattoo to be damaged. That moment alone ignited furious reactions online. Many wondered where her maternal instincts were when it mattered most. Then there's the involvement of Blueface's mom, who confirmed that initially nobody expected Chrisean to keep the baby once the doctors told her about possible developmental issues during pregnancy. But Chrisean did keep the baby, and people argue that's her right, but it also means taking responsibility for long-term care. Throughout all this, Chrisean has been vocal about protecting her son, yet she continues to rebuff medical concerns, dismissing severe symptoms as simple flu, ignoring RSV warnings, and treating potentially serious respiratory issues as minor. Videos shared online show Chrisean being sick, coughing strangely, and clearly in distress, footage that parents everywhere know could indicate something needing medical attention. One person even shared the clip with a pediatric nurse who confirmed that it absolutely sounded like RSV, a virus that in young children can be dangerous and even life-threatening. Despite all of this, reports allege Chrisean skipped multiple hospital visits and backed out of suggested treatments once she learned how much they would cost or how much dedication they would require. Many parents and doctors in the comments began saying she chose comfort and avoidance over care. And if that wasn't controversial enough, she took her son to a church altar for spiritual healing immediately after a hospital visit, not just once, but as a consistent response to medical concerns. Spiritual support is one thing, but when a child has documented neurological and developmental conditions, most pediatricians and specialists will tell you that medical intervention and therapies are crucial. Other people close to the situation, including an ex-friend, publicly warned that Junior needed urgent help. Some say it wasn't just a difference of opinion, it was actual neglect. In social media threads, comments are explosive and unfiltered. Some people believe that because Chrisean chose not to follow doctor recommendations, she's essentially allowed her child to suffer. Others defend her right to choose spirituality, saying hope and faith are also powerful. But the middle ground, the question most viewers are asking, is this: can faith and denial be effective when a child has conditions that require professional treatment? And that's where the internet reaction really spikes. People notice that at 2 years old, Chrisean is being carried everywhere, not walking independently, not speaking clearly, and in the world of child development experts, those are serious red flags. Beyond that, there's the claim that Chrisean's sister, Taryn, confirmed heavy alcohol use during pregnancy, and that the doctors explicitly warned her that there would be complications. That adds another layer of public condemnation, because fetal alcohol syndrome is preventable and often linked directly to prenatal alcohol exposure. To critics, this isn't just about medical struggles, it's about accountability. Pause for a moment and think about this. If your child shows signs of a serious developmental disorder and doctors repeatedly recommend treatment, would you ignore it? Because that's what many people watching are asking. On the other side, Chrisean doubles down. In her own words, she prefers to believe in what she hears from God rather than what medical professionals say. She says she doesn't have to accept anyone's opinion about her child. She insists that internet speculation doesn't matter and that she's protecting her son spiritually. But here's why this is so heavy online. Faith, healing, and belief are deeply personal. Yet when a child's health and quality of life are involved, most people see medical care as essential, not optional. And that gap between belief and care is exactly why this situation exploded online. What made people even more emotional was how the internet responded when footage circulated showing Chrisean coughing up fluid after medicine, clearly uncomfortable and struggling. Many viewers felt a visceral reaction because it's one thing to debate medical opinions, but it's another to see a child in distress. Some people pointed out that at 2 years old, a child normally would already be walking steadily, talking in sentences, and exploring confidently. Instead, Chrisean is still struggling with fundamentals. And that's when social media turned from speculation to outright criticism. Users started saying Chrisean's actions were neglectful, irresponsible, or at least misguided. Some comments even go harder, condemning her choices, citing that doctors are appointed and anointed, meaning that they see medical professionals as part of God's design too, and that ignoring them isn't faith, it's denial. Others emphasize that doing faith work without work in the real world, like therapy, physical development exercises, regular checkups, isn't enough for a child with developmental concerns. This story isn't just simmering, it's a boiling point because people everywhere are emotionally invested in how a child is treated. The key debate online isn't simply, does she love her kid? Most agree that she does, but whether she's doing enough to help him thrive instead of just survive. And at the end of every discussion, there's one question that keeps popping up. Will Chrisean finally accept medical help for her son, or will denial continue to put his development at risk? Because believers, experts, and critics alike all agree on one thing: a child's health should come first. Picking up right where we left off, The situation with Chrisean Rock and her son Chrisean Jr. is still escalating. The reality of neglect claims, online backlash, and the child's medical challenges hasn't slowed down at all. People are watching closely because this isn't just celebrity drama, it's about a vulnerable child who deserves proper care. After part 1, Chrisean Jr. is still 2 years old and struggling with walking, speaking, and overall development. The public has seen him coughing, congested, and needing constant care. Chrisean, meanwhile, is doubling down on her spiritual approach, claiming that prayer and faith will heal her son. But experts and viewers alike point out that faith without proper medical intervention cannot address conditions like cerebral palsy or fetal alcohol syndrome, which require consistent therapy, monitoring, and sometimes specialized treatments. Several key points continue to fuel criticism. First, there's the hospital visit issue. Chrisean reportedly skipped multiple doctor appointments and treatments that could have helped her son develop essential motor skills. Instead, she relied on spiritual healing, laying him on church altars and believing that prayer alone would solve what are fundamentally medical issues. Many pediatricians and child development specialists weigh in online, stressing that early intervention is critical for children with such diagnoses. The longer it's delayed, the harder it is for the child to reach developmental milestones. Then there's the family drama angle, which complicates matters further. Chrisean's sister Taryn publicly confirmed that Chrisean drank heavily during pregnancy, and doctors warned about possible complications, including fetal alcohol syndrome. Moreover, Chrisean refused a recommended C-section because she didn't want her tattoo, a tribute to Blueface, to be affected. Many viewers online questioned her judgment, asking why maternal instincts didn't kick in when it was most needed, especially given the potential long-term consequences for her child. Meanwhile, social media reactions are intense. People are commenting not just about Chrisean's parenting choices, but also about the medical implications. Viewers point out that Chrisean Jr. should be walking, speaking, and showing independence at this age, yet he still requires constant physical support. Videos showing him coughing and struggling with basic mobility sparked immediate concern, with many saying it looks like RSV or other serious respiratory issues, rather than a simple cold or flu as Chrisean has claimed. Some of Chrisean's critics highlight that she even admitted ignoring doctor advice when she found out how much work and financial cost treatments would involve. Instead of following through with therapies, she chose faith-based solutions exclusively. This has caused an online divide. Supporters praise her faith, while critics argue that she's prioritizing beliefs over her child's immediate health and development needs. Adding another layer, people noticed that Chrisean's public focus shifted to her career and professional fighting aspirations. Signing with ex-Rumble Fighting Championships to become a professional fighter might be admirable, but critics argue that the time and energy required to train for fights could distract her from attending to her son's care, especially when he has special needs. It's also worth noting that Chrisean has faced pushback from family members. Blueface mom, Clarissa, publicly stated that she never expected Chrisean to keep the baby once medical professionals revealed the child's potential disabilities. Chrisean chose to keep him for personal reasons, reportedly to have him over Blueface, but critics argue that while keeping the baby was her right, it also comes with a responsibility to actively address his health and development, which she seems to have neglected. The online debate has become heated. People argue that Chrisean might be in denial, refusing to see her son's condition as severe because accepting it would mean taking consistent and sometimes difficult action. Some comments are harsh, labeling her actions as neglectful, while others caution against judgment, emphasizing the complexity of faith, mental health, and parental challenges. Medical professionals weigh in too. Pediatric experts point out that early intervention programs for children with cerebral palsy and fetal alcohol syndrome are critical in the first few years. These programs include physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and sometimes medication management. Delays in accessing these treatments can significantly hinder a child's long-term development, which is why many online viewers are frustrated because it appears Chrisean is choosing faith over evidence-based care, even after seeing warning signs like coughing. mobility struggles, and developmental delays. Another point of concern is the public nature of the story. Chrisean's son has been exposed to social media and online commentary since birth. Videos of him struggling with basic skills have gone viral, and people argue that a child's health shouldn't be debated online. It should be addressed in private with professionals. Critics claim that instead of keeping him safe from scrutiny, Chrisean's actions have unintentionally invited judgment and concern from the public. Yet, Chrisean remains resolute in her beliefs. She continues to publicly state that faith will heal her son and that doctors or online commentators cannot define his future. This stance has sparked discussions about the balance between parental rights, religious beliefs, and a child's medical needs. Many child development specialists insist that faith and medical care don't have to be mutually exclusive, and that combining both could be the most effective approach for Chrisean Jr. The story also raises questions about accountability. Chrisean's supporters argue that she loves her son and is doing her best in difficult circumstances. However, critics point out that love alone cannot replace structured, professional care, especially for a child with serious medical diagnoses. At 2 years old, Chrisean Jr. is still not walking independently, which is a clear developmental red flag. Observers note that ignoring medical advice could have long-term consequences that no amount of spiritual belief can reverse. To complicate matters, Chrisean reportedly continues to prioritize other aspects of her life, such as social media presence, fighting career, and personal branding, which has led to accusations that she is not fully committed to addressing her son's needs. Critics emphasize that a child with developmental challenges requires daily care, therapy, and monitoring, and that these responsibilities cannot be postponed or ignored. Some online commentators have also questioned the role of her family and support network. They argue that those closest to Chrisean, including Taryn and Blueface family, have tried to intervene, but that Chrisean has resisted advice. This resistance further fuels criticism, as people feel that her denial could be putting her child at risk unnecessarily. Finally, the story sparks a broader conversation about parenting, responsibility, and social media culture. Chrisean Jr.'s condition has become a focal point for debates about public scrutiny, faith versus medical intervention, and the pressures faced by young parents in the public eye. People are divided. Some defend Chrisean's decisions as personal and private, while others condemn her for ignoring clear medical guidance and placing her child in potential danger. As of now, the future remains uncertain. Will Chrisean continue on her current path, relying solely on spiritual healing, or will she finally integrate professional medical care to ensure her son's proper development? The situation continues to unfold, and social media, family members, and concerned viewers are all watching closely. The hope remains that Chrisean Jr. receives the care he needs because regardless of public opinion, his health and development are what truly matter. As the situation with Chrisean Rock and Chrisean Jr. continues, it's clear that this story isn't slowing down anytime soon. Now that Chrisean Jr. is 2 years old and still struggling with mobility and communication, the scrutiny on Chrisean has intensified. The public has seen him being carried everywhere, coughing repeatedly, and showing signs that his development is delayed. Critics argue that these are not minor setbacks, these are serious medical concerns that require consistent intervention. Chrisean, however, continues to double down on her faith-based approach. She has stated publicly multiple times that prayer and spiritual healing are the ultimate solutions for her son. While faith is powerful, experts repeatedly warn that cerebral palsy and fetal alcohol syndrome require structured therapy, including physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy, to give the child the best chance at normal development. Ignoring these treatments can have long-term consequences, and the online pediatric community has been very vocal about this. Adding more complexity to the situation, Chrisean's decision-making during pregnancy has resurfaced in discussions. Reports confirmed that she drank alcohol while pregnant, and doctors had warned about complications. Even when a C-section was recommended to protect both mother and child, Chrisean refused because of concerns about her tattoo. These decisions have now become a major point of public debate, with many questioning why maternal instincts didn't lead to more caution at the time. The child's medical appointments remain a central issue. Chrisean has reportedly skipped multiple hospital visits, avoided recommended treatments, and even stopped taking him to doctors out of fear of what they might find or what social media might say. Instead, she relied on prayer sessions at church, including laying Chrisean Jr. on altars for spiritual healing. While this may provide comfort, it does not replace medical care, and many specialists warn that delaying professional intervention can significantly affect a child's ability to reach developmental milestones. Family dynamics have only made things more complicated. Blueface mom, Clarissa, publicly stated that she never expected Chrisean to keep the baby after learning about Chrisean Jr.'s potential disabilities. Chrisean reportedly chose to have the child for personal reasons, but critics argue that keeping a child comes with the responsibility to ensure their health and development, which she has repeatedly neglected. Social media reactions continue to be intense. People argue not just about Chrisean's faith-based decisions, but also about her parenting priorities. Videos of Chrisean Jr. struggling to walk and speak have gone viral, leading to heated discussions about whether he is receiving the care he needs. Some commentators are extremely critical, suggesting that Chrisean's denial could be harming her son, while others defend her faith and argue that she loves him and is doing her best under challenging circumstances. Medical professionals have weighed in, emphasizing that early intervention is critical for children with conditions like cerebral palsy or fetal alcohol syndrome. These programs are most effective when started early and consistently, including daily exercises, therapies, and sometimes specialized treatments. Many pediatricians argue that while faith can support healing, it cannot replace medical intervention, especially when delays could cause permanent setbacks. Chrisean's career aspirations have also drawn attention. Her recent signing with ex-Rumble Fighting Championships and her plans to make a professional debut raise questions about whether she can fully dedicate the time and energy required to care for a child with special needs. Critics point out that training for fights is time-consuming and physically demanding, potentially leaving Chrisean Jr. without the consistent care and therapy he needs. Family and friends have attempted to intervene multiple times, warning Chrisean about the consequences of neglect. Some, including her ex-best friend Janet, have stressed that Chrisean Jr. needs professional help immediately. Yet Chrisean remains resistant, insisting that prayer and spiritual guidance are sufficient. This tension has led to public debates about faith versus medical responsibility, with viewers divided over whether she is making the right choices. Adding to the pressure, Chrisean's son has become a public figure in social media circles, whether she intended it or not. Videos showing his developmental struggles have circulated widely, leading to scrutiny and criticism from viewers, pediatricians, and online commentators. Many argue that the child's health should remain private, but Chrisean's high-profile life has made this impossible. Despite all this, Chrisean is reportedly still focused on faith as her primary approach. She continues to insist that God's word will heal her son and that medical opinions or online speculation do not define his future. Experts and critics argue that this mindset, while rooted in belief, may prevent her from taking the concrete steps needed to maximize her son's potential. The public conversation now centers on accountability and responsibility. Love alone cannot substitute for professional care, and viewers have been vocal in saying that while Chrisean may love her son, she must also follow evidence-based treatment plans to give him the best chance at normal development. Failing to do so risks long-term consequences for Chrisean Jr., including mobility and speech delays that could persist into later childhood. Chrisean's story also sparks a broader dialogue about parenting under public scrutiny, faith, and social media culture. Her decisions are being debated worldwide, highlighting the tension between personal belief, parental rights, and the necessity of professional guidance when a child has serious medical needs. Many viewers argue that combining faith with consistent medical care is the most balanced approach, one that Chrisean has yet to fully embrace. In conclusion, Chrisean Jr.'s future depends on whether Chrisean can balance her faith with professional medical intervention. While she remains committed to spiritual healing, pediatric experts insist that therapy, medical oversight, and early interventions are essential for his development. Social media, family, and public commentary will likely continue to influence this story, but at the heart of it, the focus should remain on the child's health and well-being. At this point, the hope is that Chrisean makes the necessary choices to ensure Chrisean Jr. has access to both medical care and spiritual support. The public will continue to watch closely, and while opinions are divided, the overarching concern remains: Chrisean Jr. deserves every opportunity to thrive, develop, and lead a healthy life. So, what do you think? Should Chrisean combine faith with professional medical care or continue relying solely on prayer? Sound off in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for updates on this ongoing story. We'll keep following every development because this is about more than celebrity drama. It's about a child's future, and everyone deserves to know the truth.